This is Jodie Levin Epstein, and today, January 30th, 2026, I am here interviewing Allison Keck, who is a Sunrise member, a graduate of Chico State, and a resident of San Francisco. Welcome, Allison. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You know, you were a student at nearby Chico State when the campfire erupted in 2018. What impact did that have on you while you were at Chico?
It was actually the housing market that had the biggest impact on me. After 60,000 residents were suddenly homeless overnight, and there were 13,000 infrastructures gone overnight, the pricing of rentals and housing tripled overnight, as well as our current landlord was no longer going to continue renewing leases so he could sell. So it was unfortunate that I went from a 1,500 square foot house for $550 a month to a 3 bedroom, 1 bathroom apartment that was 900 square feet for almost $800 a month, just within weeks.
And having that experience as a student, did you also go to the area where you had seen some damages so you could see what was happening, and how did that impact you?
It was devastating. I'll never ever forget the paradise that I once knew and went to all the time to visit for fun. And the first time I went there after the fires, everything was just a flat land of ash. And it was hard to believe that it was the same place that I knew.
What led you to join Sunrise as a youth advocate?
Because I realized that you can't argue about politics when you're running from flames and when towns are flooding and through these natural disasters that become more unprecedented every single year. There's no time to argue about healthcare policy when people die in fires.
Let's zero in, Allison, on Make Polluters Pay climate superfund legislation. Let's assume it's not legislation anymore, it's actually a law. What could you imagine, based on your experience in Chico and otherwise as an advocate within Sunrise, you would like to see MPP funds spent on? What's the kind of activity?
Definitely preventative projects like building more fire retardant housing, investing into some more tree planting, but like the redwoods that would be eventually become old growths because we've lost a lot of old growth trees, so replacing a lot of redwood. Um, and definitely anything preventative and resiliency.
What's a key message you have, Allison, when you're thinking about the youth voice? What do you say about why the youth voice is important?
Well, they're the ones that are going to be living through these damages as these natural disasters get worse. They're going to be living through it year after year, and pretty soon they're not going to be able to afford vehicles. The vehicles are about like $500 to $800 a month just for your car note, and then insurance. And insurance is getting more expensive every day, and that bubble has to pop, and it has to be the next generation to do it. They have to decrease their dependency on vehicles and start getting together with their communities to not let gas stations be built, to not expand their highways and continue expanding their public transit systems.
And how do you go about talking with friends to encourage them to join this youth movement?
I usually start by asking how expensive their cars are every single month because my insurance is now over $300 for a 2013 Toyota Camry. So I usually ask if anybody else is experiencing these kind of prices, and it's almost $70 for me to fill my tank for a 4 cylinder. And I often bring up how Biden was blamed so harshly for gas prices, and I ask everybody, like, when are they coming down? Because he hasn't been in office for a long time. When are they coming down? It wasn't it wasn't a specific person, it was specific corporations taking home record profits. So I usually like to remind people how much money Chevron and Exxon are making while they're pointing the finger elsewhere, and ask them if they enjoy paying this much money.
Now, as a Sunrise member, I know you've lobbied your representatives in the state legislature and asked them to step up and support Make Polluters Pay. Have you had one of those moments where you felt the legislator really heard you, what you were saying, and that you felt your visit could make a difference?
I felt more confident with more local representatives, and more state representatives were a little bit more difficult to inspire to focus on MPP and advocate for MPP with their colleagues. But there are also some representatives that are already on it and already really excited about it. So some, yes, and I think some we can still inspire.
And what would you recommend as a tip for how to inspire a state representative who wasn't listening?
I would continue to inspire everybody to think about money. Money is often the only thing that gets Congress paying attention, anyways. And it would really be actually beneficial for us, for the actual residents, for the actual constituents, getting your cost of living down, getting some of that profit back from these fossil fuel companies that have been collecting for so many years. We need to get a tax credit back for what we've been spending on fossil fuel while they've been starting fires.
Now, California's local elected officials in their city and county and town councils are passing local resolutions calling on the state legislature to pass MPP. Do you think that this kind of local pressure on the state legislature is helpful? And would you hope that more resolutions pass soon?
Yes, I think we always have the most power the more local we are. Again, I feel more confident when I talk to local assembly members than when I talk to maybe a senator. So I think all of our power is more local. It's easier to educate people right across the street from you and get people on the same page, get people to go a short distance to your city council meeting. City council meetings are so accessible, and that's where a lot more of your power can lie. You can create some more changes a little bit faster and much more near you. It's in your arm's reach.
Allison, use your imagination. You've been invited to speak before this entire state legislature, and they're very near to their final vote on the MPP bill. At the end, you want to close with some kind of remark about the urgency of action. What would you shout out at the end in a few words to the state legislature?
I would probably shout out Exxon's profits for last year. I'd figure out how many billions they made, and just remind everybody how much Exxon and Chevron were making while we're fighting for our lives.
Allison, this has been great. Is there anything you'd like to add just at the end here to throw in that you've wanted to say and haven't had a chance to?
Just always reminding the youth how accessible your city council is. Go to your city council meetings.
Well, thank you very much, Allison. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.